Donald Trump's hold on the Republican Party is in no small part due to his enduring popularity with evangelical Christians. While Trump has spoken sometimes about the importance of his own faith, more often than not, his actions and words do not line up with the church's teachings.
Jesus Christ inspires us to love one another.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters.
With hearts full of generosity and grace.
Why do I have to ask for forgiveness if you're not making mistakes?
Scripture teaches us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted.
If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them.
I cherish women, and I will be great on women's health issues.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the...
My favorite book is the Bible. My second favorite book is The Art of the Deal, and it's not even close.
Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here.
2 Corinthians, right? 2 Corinthians 3:17. That's the whole ball game.
You can do anything. Grab them by the... You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
Joining us now is Russell Moore. He's editor-in-chief at Christianity Today and leads its public theology project. He's the author of the new book, Losing Our Religion, an altar call for evangelical America. Russell, it's so great to have you back on the show this morning. You talk about this sort of pre- and post-2016 evangelical church, and after it came under the grip of Donald Trump. How do you explain it? When we talk to evangelicals, they say, look, we were voting for a president, not a saint. We understand he's got some ethical and moral and personal failings, but he's given us so much. He gave us 3 Supreme Court justices, which helped to overturn Roe versus Wade. So how do you explain the move of evangelicals and their willingness to go along for the ride with Donald Trump?
Well, many evangelicals thought that this close alliance would lead to greater influence on Donald Trump and on his administration. I think the evidence shows it's been the other way around. Trump and Trumpism have changed evangelicalism much more than evangelicalism has influenced Trump or the Trump movement. And I think that generally has to do with the way that many people inside and outside the church are wondering if the religion is just a means to an end, to politics, to power, something else. And I think the church is too important for that.
Russell, Elise Jordan here. As a fellow Mississippian who was raised Southern Baptist, I too have been incredibly disturbed and just, horrified by some of the developments and the attitude of just letting Donald Trump and his very unchristian behavior fly because it might mean that we get Supreme Court justices. How do good Christians reconcile this, getting politics out of the public sphere when a church has become so moored to a political candidate?
Well, I think there are a lot of Christians who think we have to be involved, and they're right. We have to be involved. We have to be engaged. Often they're thinking about issues that really do matter and matter a great deal. I think what we didn't count on, or what many people didn't count on, was the sort of transactions that would have to take place. I mean, we're at a point where we're talking about sexual abuse liability, sexual assault liability, insurrections and attacks on the United States Capitol, and then you just add to it everything else that seems to be melting down in American life and in American institutional life. I really think we need a revival of genuine gospel-centered evangelical America, and if we don't have that, I think that's bad news for everybody, not just for believers like me, but for unbelievers too.
Well, Mr. Moore, that's a pretty good summation of the state of the country right now that you just articulated. So my question to you is, given the evangelical movement in this country, how is it that they end up at the end of the day, despite living through everything we've lived through and everything that you just described, how is it, and I can't find an answer within myself about this, maybe you can help me, how is it that they end up casting their lot with a bad man?
Well, that's the question in front of us right now for the entire country. And part of it has to do with the way that we've lost a sense of meaning, and politics has attempted to replace that sense of meaning. And so I see a secularization happening, not just in the outside culture, what we were always warned about, but a secularization of the church itself. I mean, just look at the evangelical political event happening in Iowa last week or the week before. It wasn't centered around issues of theology or even of traditional evangelical values. A lot of it was centered around supporting Russia over Ukraine. I mean, that's a very different emphasis.
So, Russell, how do we turn back to the way it was, as you wrote about in the book, where the church, for a lot of us growing up, and in many places still today, we should point out, is a place of community, it's a place of belonging, it's a place of hope. Politics, you would like to not hear from the altar, but as you say, it is coming up more and more. How do you get back to the essence of what the church always has been?
Well, I think we're in the middle of a crisis, and I do not think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that what often happens is that out of crises, something new is formed. And I think you have a lot of evangelical Christians right now who are feeling homeless, feeling disoriented. Many evangelicals say to me, I don't feel like I belong anymore. I don't know what's happening around me. But at the same time, a lot of these people are finding each other, and they're finding a new path. And so I think we don't need to fight a battle for the soul of evangelicalism. What we need are for evangelicals to reconnect with the gospel and reconnect with the church. And those small-scale sorts of movements, I think, can bring about something quite different from what we've seen.
Russell, you're very much a dissident of sorts, given how outspoken you were about what you see as just going wrong in the church. How has that affected your life and your career?
Well, I don't feel like a dissident at all because I still hold to the same truths I've always held to: the authority of the Bible, the gospel of Christ, the need for personal transformation and personal character and leadership. Those are all things I've always believed. It's that we've had quite a shift in the emphasis of evangelicalism. I think looking at it now, we can see that there were patterns in place all along that many of us did not recognize at the time, leading to this place. And also a sense of a siege mentality, that all of the ethics that we've been taught can be suspended because there's a state of emergency. That's really, really dangerous sort of rhetoric, along with losing even the possibility that we can persuade our neighbors and love our neighbors and engage with them even when we disagree. I don't feel like a dissident in any of that. I think that's what I was taught in Sunday school. And so that's one of the reasons why this time is so disorienting to so many people.
Well, let's hope that spirit returns. The important new book, and we've only scratched the surface, is titled Losing Our Religion, an Altar Call for Evangelical America. Russell Moore, I know we'll have you back on much more to talk about this. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks so much.